Hey guys, it's Tasha. Welcome back to Reading with Toby. Today I am so excited to do a little tier ranking video for you all. I have never done one of these, but I love watching them. And I thought it would be a good way for me to go through all of the books that I read this year without having to do like a wrap up, because there are some books that I've read that I have not chatted with you all about. I had a really good reading year and I thought this would just be a fun way to go through everything that I read. So let's go ahead and just get straight into it. I'm going to be ranking all the books that I read in 2023. Have some coffee. It is like 4 p.m. but it is New Year's Eve, so happy New Year's. And I will be going over to like a friend's house. We're just gonna have a little get together, but I'm definitely gonna need some coffee before. Let's talk about my categories. So my first category is Bloody Brilliant. And these are the books that were the most impeccable, incredible, brilliant pieces of literature. Love them so much. The second category is a fangirl. These are the ones that I just loved so much. They definitely were just for me just loving it, and it just fit. Like, it just fit what I loved. It may not be the most incredible thing ever written, most incredible like world building characters, but I loved it, so that goes in that category. Next one is just a thumbs up, like mid, good, nothing really bad to say about it. I thought it was good. I think a lot of people would like it as well, so it goes in that category. The next one is not for me. So these are going to be ones that where I can see other people liking it. I can see the merit. I see how, you know, it wasn't necessarily a bad book, but it just wasn't for me. And then the next one is just trash. So, all right, so let's go ahead and get started. I'm just gonna pick books at random, and we'll just, what came up was actually Things Have Gotten Worse Since We Last Spoke. This is a short story by Eric LaRocca. I actually read the entire short story collection that this was in. I guess I could have put that in here, but I read it because everyone talks about the short story and giving it 5 stars, and I am like, how? Why? This, I'm so sorry. Okay, my computer's being slow. This goes in the trash category. I'm so sorry. This is even like a not for me. This just wasn't that good. Like, it was just gross. There was nothing really to it. I don't know. I'm still a fan of Eric LaRocca. Like, I've read some of his other works. I have some of his works on my shelves, TBR, to read. I do want to read them, but I'm so sorry. This was like, I don't understand how people gave this 5 stars. Get out of here. Get out of here. Okay, speaking of things that people say is gross, is Tender is the Flesh by Agustina Bastarrica. This is a translated horror Argentinian novel, and I absolutely love this. Now, this is how you do, this is like my favorite kind of horror. Literary horror, incredible writing, existential, talks about what it is to be human, talks about grief, relationships, but then it also is in this world of where society now has to eat humans for meat because all the animals got this virus so we can eat them. It's about consumerism, capitalism. I thought it was wonderful, and I think this book was bloody brilliant. Like, I thought this book was incredible, so it definitely goes up there in bloody brilliant. Okay, next, let's just pick another one. I'm randomly picking them as my computer is letting me. This, I don't know why it's being so slow. I don't know why. I was on Safari and it just did not like it. Things are going a lot smoother on Google Chrome, so I reset it. Okay, here we go. All right, so let's do the next one. Okay, next. Okay, just grabbing a random one. Okay, How to Sell a Haunted House by Grady Hendrix. Okay, so I actually DNF'd this book. I read this during Summerween, and I didn't think it was like a bad book or anything, but it was like, I got halfway through and I was like, I got the gist of it. This isn't like the horror that I wanted. The premise sounded so good. Like, these brother and sister have to go back to this haunted house, and the title, the cover is perfect. I've read Grady Hendrix before, but this one, I don't know, it was just, yeah, I guess not for me, because I would say it was a bad book. It's definitely more campy horror, which isn't what I'm about. Just picking random ones. Okay, A Curious Beginning by Deanna Raybourn. This book I read earlier when I was in a reading slump, and it got me out of my reading slump. This follows Veronica Speedwell, and it's like a cozy mystery. It is so good. Cozy. Veronica and Stoker, their banter. This was just so much fun. Like, such a good time. I'm definitely a fangirl. Like, I love this. I can't wait to read the rest in this series. I love it so much. Next, pick another one, random. Okay, Anna Karenina by Leo Tolstoy. Oh my gosh, this book. This was the first big classic that I read this year. It took me like 3 months to read it, but I don't even care. I took my time with it. I annotated it like crazy. In fact, it's like right here. I can just show you. Like, I annotated this book like crazy, and now this is like my most prized possession because like all of me went into this book and I had so much fun annotating it. But besides that, this book is incredible. There's a reason why so many people still talk about it to this day. Like, some of the most incredible characters. This book felt so real. This book is bloody brilliant. Like, this goes up there like top tier. Now one of my all-time favorite books. I literally can't wait to reread this book. I loved it so much. And Levin is like my new all-time favorite character. He was so incredible. Oh my gosh, I highly recommend that book if you haven't read it. Don't be intimidated by the size. Like, when I finished it, I felt so sad and empty because I just wanted more. Oh, okay, The Black Guy Dies First. This is a nonfiction that I listened to, and this kind of goes through black horror cinema and the various tropes and like the rise of black horror. Not the rise, because it's all this. Also, one of the points this book is making, that black horror has always been a thing, and like horror has kind of always been about social commentary, and Jordan Peele is not the first to do it. It just became really popular after like Get Out. So it talks about all of that. I love horror films. I'm new to the horror genre and literature, but I've always loved horror films, especially like this, and it has to do with like social commentary. So I thought this was really great. I'm definitely a fangirl of it. I highly recommend. Like, the book itself is full of like colored pictures, and it's like a cool layout, and it's definitely like a nice coffee table book to just have, and people can like flip through. Good movie recommendations. I really enjoyed it. Next, I'm just randomly picking one. Let's see. Okay, we got, oh, okay, Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. So this one was a reread for me. I reread this in preparation for Hellbent, the sequel that came out. I feel like I have Toby hair all over me. The sequel that came out. I have a whole reading vlog for this. You know, I'll just link all the reading vlogs down below if you want to see any of my thoughts on this. But I loved it the first time that I read it, and the second time I gave it a 3-star. Yeah, I think actually right here in the thumbs up is like the perfect spot for it. I still had a good time with it. I just love Darlington. I'm just not a fan of Alex, like the main girl character, so it makes it a hard book to read. But I love the premise, the world building, the like different houses on Yale. Like, I thought it was great, and I really need to get to this. Okay, we got House of Hunger by Alexis Henderson. So this is another black horror novel. So this one, I think this goes in the not for me. I think I learned that Alexis Henderson is just not, like, her writing and me do not get along. I think I gave this like 2 stars, but this is one that I can recognize it's not a bad book. This is just not for me. Her writing, because I read her debut novel, which I also didn't really care for. This one I also didn't care for, found it boring. I thought the characters were so bland, so one-dimensional. I thought it was so predictable. Yeah, no, just not for me. Next. Okay, Bad Cree by Jessica Johns. Okay, so this is another horror book. This is by an Indigenous author. This is all about like generational trauma and grief, and I really enjoyed this. I think, yeah, right here in the thumbs up, because I think a lot of people would like this book. I need to see more people read this. I think a lot of people would like this, and even if you're not a horror reader, this isn't like very intense horror. Okay, The Passing by Nella Larsen. So this was one of my classics that I wanted to get to this year. And okay, so when I finished this book originally, I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. I thought it was just okay. Then I read the foreword or the afterword, whichever one it was, an introduction, I can't remember. And it really changed my perspective on it. And I have not been able to stop thinking about this book ever since I read that, and like what the author was trying to do, how important it was at the time, and how there were a lot of books coming out at that time about passing, and how this book was different and what it did differently. And I just like haven't been able to stop thinking about it. And I realized that this main character, Claire is her name, how she's actually just a villain. She's just a villain. She's just someone who just wanted to see the world burn, and that was it. And I thought that was such a fascinating concept. So I think I'm more of a fangirl now, and I think I bumped my original 3-star rating to a 4-star rating, and now I really want to read it knowing what I know now. Another Thing by Ansley Hogarth. So yeah, another horror book. This was my year of horror. I discovered my love of horror last year if you're new to my channel, but I love horror, especially literary horror. So this is Mother Thinks. This is the very first book I read in 2023, and I really loved it. This had such incredible writing. It was so weird. This is about this goes in fangirl. Like, I freaking love this book. I thought it was so good. Am I supposed to be like ranking these in this little chart here? Oh, I don't know if I can. I think it would kind of be like this. Okay. Yeah, I guess that's fine. Sure. Anna Karenina. This goes behind Anna Karenina. I guess something like that. Okay, so Mother Thing is about this woman and husband, and the husband's mom has to come stay with them because she is sick, and then she ends up killing herself in their basement and is now haunting them. This book was so good, so weird, took a crazy turn. Like, literally, if you like A24 films, which I want to make a video recommending books that are like A24 films, you will love this. It was so weird but written so well. Loved it. Next is, oh, The Disordered Cosmos, A Journey into Dark Matter, Space-Time, and Dreams Deferred by Dr. Chanda Weinstein. So this book goes in the bloody brilliant category. Maybe even like this. Even though I'm like switching the ranking, doesn't really mean anything. I don't really know. This is a non-fiction book by this Black astrophysicist, and she's one of the only few Black astrophysicists. She talks about that. She talks about her research in particle physics. She is like calling for change in the scientific community. This book was like actually life-changing. I loved it so much. I think so many people should read this book. Yeah, like this book was amazing. I highlighted so much. I got so much out of that book. I thought it was bloody brilliant. Oh, Annihilation. Okay, this is Annihilation by Jeff Vandermeer. So happy I finally read a Jeff Vandermeer. I had a feeling I would love his work, and I was correct. This is the first book in the Area X series, maybe? I think I made that up. That could be correct. I love this. Incredible writing. What in the world? I was not expecting that. This is like, I think this is like a fangirl moment. Yeah, I really love this. Even though like I think a lot of people like this book, I don't know, it didn't quite hit the bloody brilliant like threshold, but I love this. This is like a sci-fi horror, so also very strange. Nothing like the movie, if you've seen the movie, and I've already ordered the rest of the series because I can't wait to read it. It's a trilogy. I really like this. I love this. I loved it. The Guest by Emma Cline. All right, this book. This is probably this probably is the most disappointing book of 2023. I was so looking forward to Emma Cline's new release. I've read everything else that she's ever written. I really enjoyed The Girls. I thought Daddy, which is her short story collection, was just okay, but I love the writing. So I was super excited for her to come out with another novel. This book, I don't know what I missed, even though I don't think I missed anything. I see people talk about this book, like I saw Jack Edwards talk about this book, and it's in his like favorites, and everything he was like getting out of it, I was like, what are you talking about? I'm like, no, this book was just boring. This book is just following this girl who's homeless, who has literally nothing else going on in her life. She's like a 20-something, and just walking around this island. It was so boring, pointless. Nope. And I don't need a book with plot. I love following sad characters. I can just have good vibes, and that's it. But this book had done nothing. I don't understand. This book goes in the trash category. I'm so sorry. Actually, I'm not sorry. I'm sorry. I don't get it. This book, I don't know. I didn't. Nope. Okay. And I didn't think the writing was that great either. Sorry. Okay, Tripping Arcadia by Kit Mayquist. Yeah, I think right here actually in the just thumbs up, this was just fine. This was just like a fun book. This is like supposedly a gothic novel. It's not gothic. You're just following this like rich family. This girl goes to be a medical assistant for this rich family. Drama ensues. She decides that she wants to get revenge and kill them. It's just like a good time, and I was like really addicted. I was like reading it. I thought it was so much fun, but yeah, I haven't really thought about it since I finished it, but I really love this cover. So yeah, I think just like middle right there is a good spot for it. Okay, My Body by Emily Ratajkowski. This was like a whim of a book that I just picked up. It was available on Libby, so I got it through my library. I thought she has some incredible essays about being a woman, about owning your image, about taking control of your body. She had really great things to say. Is The Last House on Needless Street by Catriona Ward. This is another horror book. This I'm gonna put in just the thumbs up, like just okay. Actually, I think if I had to make this in like a little order, I think it'd be something like this. Yeah, again, this is another book that I thought was a good time. like fun to read, entertaining, had a good plot twist, but like I haven't really again thought about it since. Yeah, I thought this was like a solid horror slash thriller. Okay, Night Bitch by Rachel Yoder. So this is the last book that I read for 2023 and I loved it. I loved it. I don't know if it goes in the Bloody Brilliant category. I think it will come down here to Fangirl. Even though I gave it 5 out of 5 stars, I can see it's not Bloody Brilliant. Like, it's not on the same level as those other books. But I really enjoyed it. This is another horror book. Following this mom who is like exhausted and tired, and she is an artist and she starts to turn into a dog. And what I loved most about it was the writing. This was written so well, so many incredible quotes. Like, I have so many things just marked and underlined and highlighted. So many incredible quotes about feminism and just being a woman. Okay, Toby, sorry. What are you doing? Sorry, Toby, you have to get down. Everyone can say hello to Toby. Hello. And like the very last line, literally I was like reading it on the bus because I was so excited. That's how you know you love a book, when I like take it with me to read on the way to work. And I was like finishing it on the bus and I read the last line and I almost started bawling in tears because it was so sweet. It was just like, oh sorry Tobes, it was just so sweet. It was just such an endearing last line, which wasn't really expected. I loved it. I recommend it. Giovanni's Dream by James Baldwin. Okay, so this book, Bloody Brilliant. This book is bloody brilliant. This is like my new favorite book of all time. I've never read a James Baldwin book before. I can't believe it took me this long to read it. I'm so happy I read this book. This is, yeah, my new favorite book of all time. I read it twice this year. I read it twice this year. So I was in a reading slump and I was like, I wanted to read it again. I read it again and I like went back and annotated it in different color pen, which was really fun. But yeah, this book is just like perfect. This is a perfect book filled with like love, desire, self-delusion, grief, melancholy. Like, they're smoking cigarettes and sitting in like Paris cafes, and it was just freaking perfect. So yeah, this is like my favorite book of all time, one of my favorite reads of the year. Like Giovanni, I mean everything in Bloody Brilliant is obviously like my top favorites, but like Giovanni's Room and Anna Karenina were it. Okay, In Love by Alfred Hayes. This was like a short little book that I got this recommendation from a booktuber called Pato. I'll leave their channel down below because they're the one who recommended this book and I'm so glad I read it. It's a short little New York Review classic about this man retelling his story about this love that he had, and it was so good, written so well, so beautiful. There's lots of descriptions of New York City, which is one of my favorite things. Just descriptions of cities in general, but sad people in New York City is one of my favorite things. So I love this. This is definitely a fangirl moment. I do think a lot of people would love this book. Like obviously, like anything from thumbs up and up, I recommend. But yeah, that's just a little novel that no one really talks about and more of you should read. Okay, The New Guys. This was another audiobook that I listened to all about NASA and the new wave of like astronauts, where they had like female astronauts and black astronauts, and just how it was like a whole new era. And then also about the tragedies in NASA when they were all astronauts. And if you don't know this about me, I love anything about space. I love anything about astronauts. It's like my weird obsession thing that I have. I love it so much. So I love this book, and I thought this was like bloody brilliant. This was incredible. It's a thick novel. It's like right here. You can see how big it is. Like, it's a big book, but I listened to this on audio. So good. So good. Everything that I could want. Daisy Jones and the Six. I reread this book because the show came out and I loved the show. I was like obsessed with the show. I'm still like love the show so much. So I wanted to reread it because the first time I read it, I didn't really get all the hype. I read it again to see if I was missing something. I still don't get the hype. The show was so good. So I'm keeping this actually, yeah, right here, and Not For Me. Because even though, yeah, it's like super addicting, I still was like it's super readable. But I was still like, Yeah, no. The show though, watch the show. Full Immersion. This was another horror book that I read for Women in Horror Month. I really like this. Yeah, I think Here in Thumbs Up is a good one. This is horror about postpartum depression. There's like this virtual reality aspect to it that was really creepy. This book was really good. I'm really glad that I read it because I would not have like, I can't remember how, did I pick it like number? I did some random way generator to read this book and I'm really glad I read it. I thought it was really good actually. My Brilliant Friend by Elena Ferrante. This book, I'm so glad I finally read this book too. This goes in the bloody brilliant category. I love this. This is translated from Italian. I think a lot of people know what this book is about. This is a quartet series. I cannot wait to read the rest. I love this so much. Again, incredible writing, incredible characters set in this like vibrant, violent Italian neighborhood. So good, following the relationship of these two female friends and like their whole stories. Oh, it was so good. Okay, next is Slewfoot by Brahm. This book definitely goes in fangirl. I love this so much. Yeah, such a good horror book with like good messages like all about female rage and being an outcast, and I loved Slewfoot the character. This was so great. I think a lot of people like this, even though I think a lot of people have already read it. It was so good, like, and so much action and not afraid to go there, like the main character's transformation and then how she just got her revenge. I loved it. All the House of Usher by Edgar Allan Poe. I read this short story because the show is coming out, which I loved the show. So this story, I mean, I think it's just like a thumbs up. I don't really know what to rate it, but yeah, it was fine. It was interesting. Edgar Allan Poe has great writing. It's a little difficult, but I loved it. I thought it was pretty good. Yeah, don't really have much to say about it. Okay, next is The Shards by Bret Easton Ellis. This book, so I originally gave this book I think like 4.5 stars. This is another one that because like the ending kind of like I thought it was so incredible, and then the ending kind of like tilted down and I was like, oof. You know, you finish a book and the ending's not that great. Not that the ending wasn't good, but the ending just wasn't as powerful as I wanted. It kind of leaves you like not feeling as good about the book. But with time away from it, I like still think about this book to this day. I still think about this main character, everything that happened in this book, and I think I give it a 5 stars now. And I think this book was bloody brilliant. Like, I thought Bret Easton Ellis was able to create such an engaging, it's like 600 pages or something ridiculous like that. But I loved every single second of it. You are following this main character, also named Bret, and it's like set in the 80s in LA, and there's this like serial killer on the periphery, and he is just trying to find connection and love, and he is queer and he's dealing with that. And oh my gosh, this book was like heartbreaking, unsettling. I loved it, and I think more people should read it. I thought it was great. I thought it was wonderful. My battery died, so I quickly went to recharge it. I think I was just gushing about The Shards. So let's quickly finish The Shards, bloody brilliant. That's where it goes. Wait a minute, did I not talk about Babel? I think Babel was the next one. I was like, Babel does not go there. Let's finish. Wait, The World We Make. Hold on, I think I have more books that I didn't talk about. Next, let's do Babel by R.F. Kuang. This book, I love this book so much. This was so great. I, along with everyone else, thought this book was wonderful. I love the world building, the fantasy. I love the characters. I love the dark academia. I love the talk on colonialism, language, using your voice. I thought it was all great. The necessity of violence. I think this is definitely a fangirl. I love this. Yeah, maybe like, I don't even know, maybe like that. I don't know at this point, but I thought it was great. Okay, next is The World We Make by N.K. Jemisin. This is the sequel in the duology. I read this for Blackathon and I loved the first book in this series. The second one was just okay. I don't know. It just wasn't as epic as the first one. You could tell that N.K. Jemisin didn't feel as passionate about it. So I give it like just like a thumbs up. Like, it wasn't bad, but definitely wasn't as incredible as I wanted, but I definitely can't wait to read more of N.K. Jemisin's work. I know I have such a great backlog of hers. Okay, next is Mona Awad, Rouge. I think this was my favorite, or sorry, I think this was my most anticipated release of 2023, and I really liked it. I didn't love it or anything. I haven't really thought about it since I finished the book. I have a vlog reading this one too. Yeah, it was just okay. It wasn't bad. I think this one, see, I would put it in the not for me, but I still give it like a thumbs up. Like this one I could see people liking. I like the discussions on whiteness and beauty, but it was just okay. I feel like I'm trying to organize these a little, I guess kind of like that maybe, I don't know. Okay, and then lastly is Frankenstein. Okay, so this was the last classic that I read in 2023. This book is so tricky because I loved the very first half of this book, like loved it. I was like, oh my god, this is gonna be a new all-time favorite book. This is going to be like a 5 stars. And then the second half of the book, it was boring. You're just following Frankenstein as he is just feeling so guilty. He's just sitting around feeling sad, feeling guilty, looking at the mountains, looking at the ice. But I love the first half of it when he is like going to college or going to university, and he's loving science and he's creating the creature, and then you meet the creature and the creature has all these wonderful discussions on being human. But then it just got boring. It picked up a little bit when Frankenstein finally decided to do something instead of just sitting around. So it's really hard because I like loved the first half, and the second half was like a 3-star. So that's why I ended up giving it 4-star, but I don't know, this was really tricky. So I think I'll just put it in the thumbs up category. Like I still really liked it and I see why people love this book so much, but just like the stark difference between the first half and the second half. But okay, I think there we go. I think this is my final ranking of all the books that I read in 2023. Overall, like a really great reading year. I'm so happy with all the books that I read. I felt like I was just reading constantly throughout the whole year, except for the last like 2 months where I was in a huge reading slump. But I do feel like oh, sorry if you can hear the dogs in the hallway. Anyway, so yeah, I feel like I had a really great reading year. You can see I have lots of bloody brilliant books and then lots of fangirl books. So really good time. I will link vlogs down below if you want to see me talk about any of these books in more depth. But I hope you all enjoyed this video. There will be a bonus tier ranking video coming soon. I'm so excited to film that one. But yeah, I hope you all have a great new year. I hope you all had a wonderful 2023, and I will see you all in 2024. Bye.